My husband's family invited me to a family meeting, but I had no idea what was coming. They handed me a contract and said, "Sign this to give us all your savings." I laughed, thinking it was a joke, until they locked the door. But they didn't know I had my own plan that would make them regret everything. Let me start by saying I knew my husband's family was greedy, but I never expected this level of craziness. My husband, Walter, and I had been together for 10 years. We both worked hard, managed our money well, and kept our finances separate while equally sharing expenses. I had savings, investments, and my name was on everything we owned together. I thought we had a good system. His family, on the other hand, was a financial disaster. His parents, his older brother, his sister-in-law, and even a cousin, every one of them had money problems. They were drowning in debt, made bad investments, and borrowed money without paying it back. But Walter always told me we would keep our money separate from them. I believed him. Then came the so-called family meeting. Walter said his parents had an important announcement and wanted everyone there. I wasn't excited to go, but I agreed, expecting the usual drama, someone needing money or complaining about their debts. I never imagined what would actually happen. When we arrived, something felt strange. Everyone was already there, sitting in the living room, waiting. Walter and I sat down, and his dad, Richard, started talking in a serious tone. "We've been discussing something important," he said. His mom, Hannah, gave me a sweet but fake smile. "We know you've done well with your savings," she said. My stomach sank. I looked at Walter, but he wouldn't look back at me. Then his brother, Dan, pulled out a thick contract. "To make things fair," he said, handing it to me like it was some kind of gift. I skimmed through it and felt my blood turn cold. They wanted me to transfer all my savings into a family account managed by Richard. Their excuse? Since I had saved money, it was only fair to share it with the whole family. I laughed, thinking it was a joke. "You're kidding, right?" I said. "We're serious," Richard replied. Dan crossed his arms. "Family helps each other." I looked at Walter again, but he still wouldn't meet my eyes. "No way," I said, tossing the papers onto the table. "I'm not signing this." Richard sighed like he was disappointed, then calmly stood up and locked the front door. Hannah kept smiling and said, "We hoped you'd just sign, but if you need more time to think, that's fine too." Dan put the contract back in my lap. "Read it again carefully," he said. I looked around. Everyone was staring at me, waiting. And then it hit me, Walter knew. He wasn't surprised. He had known this was going to happen and never warned me. Something inside me snapped. Slowly, I reached into my purse. Their smug faces told me they thought I was grabbing a pen. Instead, I pulled out my own folder, calmly setting the papers on the table. Richard frowned. "What's this?" I leaned back. "Divorce papers." Walter's head shot up. "Wait, what?" I turned to him. "I always wondered why you insisted on keeping our finances separate. Now I know. Your family has always come first for you, but this," I pointed at their contract, "this proves it." Walter's face turned red. "Babe, let's talk about this." "No," I said, pointing at the papers. "You're signing those today." Hannah's fake smile finally disappeared. "Now, hold on, no, you hold on," I cut in. I came prepared. I turned back to Walter, my voice steady. "I met with my lawyer 2 weeks ago. The house? It's in my name. The car? Also mine. My savings? You were never on the account. You don't have access to a single penny." Richard's face turned purple. "You ungrateful little," "Careful," I warned. "I also have a restraining order ready in case anyone in this room tries to harass me." Silence. Then Dan scoffed. "You wouldn't actually go through with this." I pulled out my phone. "Want me to call my lawyer right now?" Walter swallowed hard. "Please don't do this." I raised an eyebrow. "Why? So your family can drain me dry? So I can spend my life paying for their bad decisions?" I pointed at the contract. "You really thought I'd sign that?" Hannah started crying. Richard was shaking with anger. Dan looked like he wanted to punch something, but I didn't care. I was done. The room was tense. Walter's family sat frozen, staring at me like I had just pulled out a weapon instead of divorce papers. Finally, Walter spoke. "Babe, let's talk about this privately." I scoffed. "Oh, now you want privacy? You had no problem setting me up in front of everyone. You thought locking me in would scare me? No, we're doing this here, right now." Hannah wiped at her fake tears. "You don't understand, dear. Family shares," I laughed bitterly. "Funny. In 10 years, no one here has shared anything with me except their problems." Richard clenched his jaw. "If you walk out that door, don't expect to come back." I smirked. "Oh no, how will I ever survive?" Dan sneered. "You think you're smart, but Walter's not signing anything. He's not that stupid." I turned to Walter, who was staring at the divorce papers like they would burn him. "You will sign," I said, "because if you don't, you'll regret it." His eyes snapped to mine. "Are you threatening me?" I leaned in. "No, Walter, I'm warning you." He swallowed, his hands shaking. But what he didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I had more than just divorce papers. I pulled out another set of documents and placed them on top. Walter hesitated. "What's this?" I smiled coldly. "Proof of your other little secrets." His face went pale. I turned to his family. "Would you like to know how Walter has been stealing money from you for years?" Richard sat forward. "What are you talking about?" I tapped the papers. "Bank transfers. Fake investments. Walter has been taking money from all of you." Walter jumped up. That's a lie. But I just sat back, watching the panic spread. I was done playing their game. Now they could deal with the consequences. I crossed my arms. Is it? Because I have proof. If you really want to test me, I'll gladly take this to the police. Hannah gasped. Dan grabbed the papers, scanning them quickly. His face twisted in anger. No. No way. He wouldn't, but then he saw a specific transaction. His grip tightened. You bastard. Walter froze. Dan, I can explain, but Dan was already on his feet, fists clenched. You took my money. My kid's money. You can click on share and more to see if there is a part 2.